and welcome to Bharat FM. बजेगा भारत तो झूमेगा भारत. This is just not our tagline. Bharat FM की ये tagline ही नहीं, but this is our mantra. पर स्पीड का मंत्रा क्या होता है? Please fasten your seat belts. ये
Yeah.
लाइन हम सब लोग दिन में कितनी बार सुनते हैं? क्योंकि सावधानी हटी तो दुर्घटना घटी, and this is real. लेकिन no matter how much safety gears you take, it is still estimated that 150,000 lives are affected all across the world. In fact, in India alone, 400,000 serious injuries happen over a year due to car accidents. What can we do about it? Isn't there some other mechanism in the world invented that can save people from these mishaps? Well, on today's podcast, we have a team of such great inventors who have gone ahead and developed a mechanism or a gear, shall I say, which can save thousands of lives, not just from road accidents, but from military mishaps. In fact, the product is so wonderful that it has shock-scattering properties, and it is being considered कि aviation industry में भी शायद ये use हो जाए. Well, जब use होगा, we would love to hear it. But right
Yes.
now, let's hear it from the horse's mouth, the inventors of this wonderful product. So let me welcome Adess Singh and Rajan Tiwana ji. Hello, Adess Singh and Rajan ji.
Yeah. Hi.
Welcome to
Hi.
Hi.
How
Bharat
are you?
FM.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. How are you doing?
Very
Good.
well, thank you so much. Hope you guys are doing well too.
We are doing wonderful, and thank you so much for your time. And thank you for this amazing thing that we would be talking today. This amazing product, this amazing gear, this amazing inventions of yours. So let us just start first of all with a brief introduction. I mean, I know so much about you. I've read so much about you, both of you, but I'm sure our audience is pretty curious. So I think Adesh ji, we can start
Okay.
with you first.
Okay. Okay. You know, my background is full of contradictions, so a lot of color and a lot of conflict and a lot of jarn and a lot of drama. Okay, so uh, imagine a guy who's zilch in mathematics, but has studied physics all his educational life. Okay, and that's what I am. I am a very poor student of physics, 52% low second division and all the rest of it. But very often the hook is so strong. Despite people, my friends telling me you're no good at maths, stay away from physics. I said no, I have to go here. And so the hook is so strong that when I actually left physics, okay, I walked out of my MSc honors because I couldn't absorb a certain statement of physics, which is very common, like the teacher said, and उस दिन वो teacher भी regular वाला नहीं आया था, वो जो scholar होते हैं research को वो आया, तो बोला class में कि a positron is an electron going in the reverse direction of time. मैंने उसको रोक लिया मैंने कहा भाई थोड़ा समझा दे उसने दो इक्वेशन लिखी दैट्स इट क्लास वाले भी बोलने लग गए आदेश बस कर यार बाद में समझा देंगे कोई बात नहीं आई वाज स्टक I said it appears I got down at the wrong station. I must quit. So 4 months before my final exam I quit MSc physics. Okay, I remained a BSc honors in physics and product. Now the innovation story kept on, it did not leave because that physics appears to have a one-sided affair with me. वो आके कुछ ना कुछ कान में बोल जाते हैं फिर मैं राजन से डिस्कस करता so we are stuck. I mean, right, the stuff we've come out with is unimaginable. As we go along you will learn. तो ये तो रही हमारी background. और फिर when I joined as in a profession, I was in pharmaceutical sales, which was I was at the lowest rung and where I could do and think as I please. So all the innovations that you may have seen on the website or something all happened during that time when I was free, so to say, doing a job. But free. And Rajan will of course talk about himself, and we connected great, on work matters. कि भाई ये चीज है क्या करें. So that is how this thing carried on and on. and is still going on strong. Thank
That's
you.
wonderful. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. And I really love when you said that I have one-sided affair with physics. I think we all have that.
No,
So,
no, I meant physics had a one-sided affair with me. मुझे
oh,
पता ही नहीं
physics.
चला. हाँ,
Okay.
मुझे पता ही नहीं चला वो. I mean, I walked out of physics in MSc. मैं तो छोड़ गया था. So, but नहीं, that remained. Yeah. Please,
True.
Rajan.
So let's move, moving on to Rajanji, like a brief intro
Right.
about yourself and how did this invention happen?
Yes. So, unlike others, I was pretty good at academics, and but I never qualified for this particular innovation and technology field. I qualified as a food technologist, and then I did my MBA and I did my CFA, etc., and went into a corporate job. However, through all this, Adess and I were connected with physics. He and I were together because of physics. I remember the very first experiment that actually blew up in our face was when we were in my house, in my room upstairs in our house. We were trying to isolate hydrogen in a balloon, which we did, but we didn't know how to check. So, like the bright sparks we are, we did the worst thing possible. We lit a flame to it, and it
Okay.
blew up in our faces like a bomb.
Wow.
So, and this was when we were in like first year college or something like that. But ever since then, we have been tinkering with uh, out of this world ideas on innovations, on how to do it differently, how to think out of the box. How can this be simplified so that people can utilize these stuff every day? It just goes off the blackboard and into people's lives, which is what, like Adess says, you see, this is where he wanted to be. And I could manage the theory part very well. So I
Okay.
knew how to get there, and others knew how to implement it. So it made a great team for us. And during our journey, I happened to make some money so we could fund it. So we have been funding our own projects for a very long time, and we have put in a lot of money into various projects. We own various international patents. We are president of Awardees twice over, once in this particular field, which is blast mitigation, and the other is in exhaust systems. Both are diverse fields, but people call us for lectures in both these fields parallelly. So this is where we are, and we've been working together. We are passionate, so we need to do this whether somebody listens to us or not.
That is
This is my
wonderful.
story.
In fact, I think if I connect the dots, so you've been classmates technically in college. That's how you met each other.
We were
This is
never in class together. We were friends.
okay.
Yes, and
I,
since he was in pure sciences and I was in technology field, we used to overlap, but we were never in class together as such.
All
see,
right. But you did all the kind of inventions that
Yes,
we talk about.
every evening, come what may, Ades would be at my house and we would be tinkering.
So, like childhood friends and still friends and
so yeah.
inventors together. So, talking
Yes,
about the invention, just take us through this journey. What happened? What inspired you? Why
right.
blast mitigation, as you said? Like, how did this happen actually?
Okay.
So since Ades is the salesman, he's good at storytelling. I'll let him do this.
Okay. So,
Wonderful.
I was involved in all kinds of stuff when I remember that in 1999, okay, there was a landmine blast under a truck of the police. My brother-in-law is from the police force, yeah, from Madhya Pradesh cadre, and lots of people died in that crash. Okay, and I was on a tour to Monday. I was showing on the TV, this guy was there, and feeling bad about the whole thing. So when we sat and started talking about it, यार इसका क्या कर सकते हैं? Landmine blast. It's a thing that the militants is the favorite weapon of the militants. So the truck comes over the explosive and they detonate. There's no chance of anybody coming out alive. And we made a proposal. We discussed it with one of our army friends, Colonel Dinesh Sood, who was on a study vacation. He says, तुम कुछ मत करो, ये दो कागज जो तुमने मेरे को दिए हैं, ये चिट्ठी डाल दो जनरल मलिक को, who was the COAS at that time. and we did that. अब जैसे ही वो चिट्ठी डाली, it appeared that the Indian Army itself was having a lot of problems with something called the Radio Controlled Improvised Explosive Device Box, RCIED box. So 80% and above casualties were from the box. And I later learned that this was a box given by the Americans to the Taliban to fight the Russians. Russians तो भाग गए, वो
Oh.
डब्बे सारे घूम के हमारे पास आ
So it's like what happened in 70s was still continuing in 90s, but in India here,
गए.
not
हाँ,
True.
Afghanistan.
Yeah, so
it's
you see, they find an open market. Once
Yeah.
these things are done, Americans never take their stuff back. All the inventory is there as is where even they leave their aircraft behind.
True, true,
so
true. In fact, that's what I think recently also we saw in Afghanistan.
हाँ
Everything is
वही
Right.
left
हुआ.
behind.
और
True.
वो अफगानिस्तान के लिए excellent weapon system था. You could see hills for miles together. This fellow had a range of 1 kilometer on a walkie-talkie, and it could kill and give devastating impact. So वो चिट्ठी मार्क हो गई उस रेजिमेंट को जो उसको सोल्यूशन ढूंढ रही थी. Okay, I'm just giving you the background. अभी हम पहुंचे नहीं
Correct.
क्लास में.
Yes, yes.
तो we gave a proposal and we said ये चीज है. तो कहता था ट्राई करो. 6 मीटर पर वो चलती थी. It used to box the RCID box into pre-triggering. So 6 meters पहले अगर वो चल जाए तो कोई नुकसान नहीं होता है.
Adess, एक minute. So what he's trying to say is that we had developed a shortening signal, which would load the RCFD, so that even before the vehicle could come, it would detonate. So we could actually short circuit their plans.
Okay.
Got
और
it.
उस टाइम ये बड़ी नई चीज थी. It was called option 5. There were other deployable options which were conventional. So option 5 was for study, and they took us around to the DRDO labs, and the DRDO ripped it apart trying to understand what was happening. Even I didn't know how the damn thing worked with so little power. They kept asking, Adess, इसमें power इतना कम है, चलता कैसे? We did it with the car battery, Maruti की about 35 ampere small car battery. Or which was both a good and a bad thing, because that didn't get funded by the government, because they just didn't know what the hell was going on. Then, while going away from one of the labs, the director there said, Adess, when you cross 10 meters range, you give me a call. He gave me a mobile number. So, अब ये सब चल रहा था, वो पार्लियामेंट पे अटैक हो गया. पार्लियामेंट पे अटैक हुआ, हमारी जो रेजिमेंट थी, इंजीनियरिंग रेजिमेंट, वो मोबिलाइज हो गई. उन्होंने सामान मेरे पास छोड़ दिया विदाउट द डेटोनेटर्स एंड कैन यूज द लाइट बल्ब. जब हमारे पास आ गया वो घर पे, हम उस पे उलझ लिए पूरी तरीके से. राजन को बुला, ये कर वो कर, सब कोई काम
Okay.
कर. हाँ, अब
Wow.
उलझ लिए.
बारबी साहब हमने काम में लगे रोज शाम को बैठना.
वो उलझ लिए तो अब उसकी रेंज बन गई 15 मीटर.
Oh, and you were told for 10 meters, but you
10
like,
meters.
yeah, and
We
you
read-
went on to make it for 15
We read to 15 meters.
Wow.
ठीक है,
Right.
तो 15 मीटर पे मैंने बोला भाई हो गया. आई वाज वेरी हैप्पी कि चलो कुछ तो बना यार, काम करके कुछ तो बना. तो डीआरडीओ में बुला लिया गया. उन्होंने सारा डेमो लिया, फोटो ली 10 जगह से, and it did very strange thing. It actually fouled electronics without leaving a footprint. वो सब छोड़ो. अब वो दिखाने के बाद डीआरडीओ शांत हो गई, कुछ नहीं करा. वो हम बैठे हैं, अब क्या करें? So now we can't sit idle.
Mm-hmm.
तो हमने कहा चलो ठीक है, ये भूल जाओ इसको. Let the vehicle come on top of the landmine and let the landmine blow. Now what can you do? Now that is where all of us people come in. That is explosive blast force mitigation.
That is what we got our first president's award for.
Award, huh?
Okay.
So explosive blast force mitigation. It's a obtuse subject. कोई बचता बचाता है नहीं. अभी तक 10 किलो के डायनामाइट चार्ज से 4 फुट के डिस्टेंस पे कुछ नहीं बचा है, एक्सेप्ट व्हेन वी टू आर देयर. जब हमारा सामान बीच में लगा दो तो बिल्कुल ठीक है. वजन उसका कुछ है नहीं. एंड the first proof of concept we did in 2004. Can you believe it? 2004 we completed the proof of concept कि देख लो ये चद्दर है, ये ब्लास्ट है, ये इसको चद्दर खराब नहीं. Okay.
Okay.
और किसी nobody bothered.
Yes.
So फिर आर्मी के पास, because we had worked in Optolas, so we went to the army कि भैया ये हाँ चलो चलो करते हैं, ये 2 किलो नहीं चलेगा, 10 किलो पे चलाओ. One set of trials, another set of trials, with the same engineering regiment at
Mm-hmm.
नारायणगढ़ चंडीगढ़ के पास में. अब उसमें से एक पिक्चर इमर्ज करने लग पड़ी. This is good. In the meanwhile, we got the national award
Oh,
of President.
wonderful.
So, bum, bum, हो गया.
Absolutely.
चलने लगे. मतलब हमें
Yes.
ये समझ में आई कि लोगों को भी दिख रहा है कि ये चल रहा है, नहीं तो हमारे लिए तो चल ही रहा था, किसी और के लिए नहीं चल रहा था.
So I
समय
would
मित्रा,
like to
you
know
will.
now. Yeah, like, so how long did it take you to build this product? Like, you knew the
Yeah.
reason behind, building this, like
Okay.
blast mitigation, as you said, but how long did it take you?
So I'll take that question, Adis. So you see, for us, time is not measured in years and hours, and it is measured in the percentage of success that we are getting out of it. For this particular device to come to national award itself took more than 12 years. And then after that, the first live animal experiments, which others will talk about in a little while, took another 4 or 5 years. But we stayed with it. जब तक इसको लास्ट में ले नहीं जाएंगे, हम उसको छोड़ेंगे नहीं. किसी की समझ में आए नहीं आए, हमारी समझ में आ रही है. This is something that works. This is something that our country needs. The next day, Adess and I went to the ministry and gave in writing that this is our product, it is our patent, and we want that this should be available to our soldiers, and we will give it free without any cost. And उस दिन शाम को उनको बोल दिया हम तो यार गवर्नमेंट को दे आए. They were very angry with us because they were offering huge amounts of money that we give them our technology. But we said we can't. We said we can't do that. We will first and foremost give it to our government because our jawans are dying every day.
Yes, yes.
This is what we made it for. हमने कमर्शियल करने के लिए बनाया ही नहीं था, इसको अपने बच्चे बचाने के लिए बनाया था. पहले वो करेंगे और इसीलिए फिर ये यहीं रह गया. इसीलिए बाकी के ट्रायल्स हुए जो कि अब आदेश बात करेंगे. ट्रक ट्रायल्स एंड सीआरपीएफ ने जो किए. आदेश प्लीज टेक इट ओवर.
तो जब वो अवार्ड मिल गया हमको तो हम बहुत एक्टिवेट हो गए. देन वी रेज द पॉइंट विद द डिफेंस मिनिस्ट्री. ठीक है, अब उन लोगों ने क्या करा, देयर इज अ बॉडी कॉल्ड द पुलिस मॉडर्नाइजेशन समथिंग समथिंग.
Mm-hmm.
It's all
No, there is a joint secretary police modernization in government of India. So that is a government of India position.
सबसे पहले वहां प्रेजेंटेशन हुआ वो पुलिस वालों के पास, सीआरपीएफ, बीएसएफ, एवरीबॉडी वाज देयर.
Like the paramilitary forces, we can
हाँ,
say. Yes.
Right. All paramilitary. Correct. Correct. All paramilitary.
So what उनको बात समझ में थोड़ी थोड़ी आई और उन्होंने क्या करा, वही सामान दुनिया, मतलब इंडिया में दुनिया भर जगहों पे, जैसे कि कोई टैंक बनाता है, कोई गाड़ी बनाता है, कोई फलान करता है, ढमकान, सबको भेज दिया. सबने मेरे से प्रेजेंटेशन ले ली फोन के ऊपर, या जैसे मर्जी प्रेजेंटेशन ले ली. आया किसी से कुछ नहीं. वन फाइन डे आई गेट अ कॉल फ्रॉम द नेशनल फोरेंसिक्स लेबोरेटरी चंडीगढ़. आई वाज शॉक्ड. ओ यार, ये कहां से आ गई कॉल? मैं कहा हाँ जी सर बताइए. कहते हैं चिट्ठी आई है जी होम मंत्रालय से, आप दला आके मिलिए. तो आई वेंट फॉर द प्रेजेंटेशन. राजन वाज इन दिल्ली. आई वेंट फॉर द प्रेजेंटेशन. वहां सिर्फ 2 बंदे थे, एक तो डायरेक्टर सेंट्रल फोरेंसिक्स और दूसरा था द हेड ऑफ बैलिस्टिक फोरेंसिक्स. मतलब उसका काम ही यही था, ब्लास्ट की बैलिस्टिक्स. और मैंने शुरू कर दिया, तुम लोग तोता रटो, तुम सब समझा दिया. तो बैलिस्टिक वाला सिर मार रहा. मैं कहा अब मैं हिट द नेल ऑन द हेड. कहता है यस वी आर रिकमेंडिंग दैट वर्क शुड बी डन. वहां से कहीं गाड़ी आगे चली. बस so slow things happen, the tank wala didn't know. I tell you, people whose own soldiers are dying don't know how death occurs in a blast. वो मैं दिखा रहा हूँ, मैं कह ये देखो मेडिकल है भाई, ये चीज करके डेथ होती है. तो वो नहीं ये है वो है, मतलब they are not clear. When they are not clear, they can't find a solution. So finally काम फिर से रुक गया. अब काम फिर से रुक गया. आफ्टर ऑल दिस नथिंग वाज हैपनिंग. मंत्रालय ने एक ट्रक भेज दिया, होम मंत्रालय ने, और फिर अगेन वी वेंट. सो थैंक्स टू द गुड नेचर ऑफ द मिनिस्टर ऑफ स्टेट फॉर होम, गिरिराज अहीर. Gangaram Ahir. He was the Minister of State, and his OSD was there, uh, Sushil Park. These I wrote letters to everybody in the सरकार, कोई सुनने को राजी नहीं. Letter, email भेजो, फिर फोन करो. It's irritating, but this guy said, आ जाओ.
Yes.
आगे हम उन्होंने बुलाया, एक दफा उन्होंने हम दोनों के साथ अलग मीटिंग करी.
Okay.
मीटिंग खत्म हुई, मंत्री ने कहा सारे जितने बंदे इसमें इन्वॉल्व हैं सबको बुला लो और इनको भी बुला लो. वहां पे बैठ के जब सारे बात हुई तो मंत्री ने कहा अब तो मेरे को शर्म आने लग पड़ी भाई, अब तुम इसके ऊपर कुछ करो. वहां से गो मिला तो जो लैब, डीआरडीओ लैब के जो ब्लास्ट लैब के बंदे थे वो उनको भी जोश आ गया. उन्होंने कहा विल डू लाइव एनिमल टेस्ट.
Wow.
हमारी जान वहां जाके मतलब बनी. नहीं तो हम पड़े रहते, अगर वो एनिमल टेस्टिंग नहीं होते वो पड़े रहते हम, कहाँ इतना हुआ कुछ नहीं. That live animal test really brought the thing forward. There was an old disused CRPF truck. इस ट्रक के नीचे distance between the floorboard of the truck and the charge, explosive charge, is 1.2 meters approximately.
Okay.
और उस फ्लोरबोर्ड के नीचे हमने अपना शिवा कवच लोड कर दिया.
So Adess ji and Rajan ji, you just disclosed to us how much difficulties and how much time you, and of course it must have taken hard work and perseverance and years of work and itna struggle from one ministry to another ministry, and we
And
know
money. And money, lots of money.
Yeah.
and lots of money, and I'm sure morale kabhi kabhi down ho jata hoga and you must be like cheering up each other, but then of course Shiva Kawach was born, this
Yes.
beautiful name. So just tell us the story. Why Shiva Kawach? It's a beautiful name, and we know why it is required. So just tell us tell our audience
Okay.
why it is named and why it is required,
Okay.
and how
I'll
it is
take
going
that.
to help the military personals.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is it. How a person dies when a high explosive detonation occurs is this. There is something called a shock wave which is released, which is moving at supersonic speed. Okay. And this shock wave has very peculiar characteristics. It will go through everything without producing, doing any damage. But when the shock wave meets an interface of a liquid and a gas, like for example blood and air, तो वहां पर शॉक वेव अपना पूरा तांडव कर देगी. इट विल रप्चर इट कंप्लीटली, डिस्ट्रॉय एवरीथिंग एंड कॉज द फेटल डैमेज एंड आल्सो रिड्यूस इट्स एनर्जी. अब हमने क्या करा, व्हाट वाज द बेसिस ऑफ द होल थिंग वाज दैट सिंस वी न्यू दिस एज अ मेडिकल फैक्ट, इट्स अ फर्म मेडिकल फैक्ट अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड, we said, all right, let us put the interfaces before the shock wave hits the truck.
Okay.
So what Shiva Kawach is a random arrangement of interfaces of air and water. It is
But
readily
random arrangement in the sense that it has been randomly arranged, but
yeah.
with very careful designing.
So
Very careful design.
a certain volume of the thing is to be maintained so that the weight is also low. And once this is used, okay, this stuff, the spearhead of the attack is finished. It's blunted. अब जैसे एक भाला है, उसके आगे स्पीयर लगा हुआ है. अब अगर वो फेंकोगे किसी पे तो वो पियर्स करेगा. अगर वो स्पीयर हेड हम अनस्क्रू करके फेंक दें तो एक लठ रहेगी, फिर कुछ नहीं होगा. So that is exactly what happens. Why Shiva Kawach? Because it drinks up the poison of the blast or the crash, like Shiva drank the poison.
That
So
is a
that is where Shiva Kawach was born. It takes away the potency of the poison that is going to hit you otherwise.
So, if in a layman's, word, if we have to understand in a very simple statement, so this is the blast that is happening, and there we have the people who are affected. So, Shiva Kawach is something between them, and it
Between.
protects the recipients from the shock waves.
Yes.
Yes. So what happens is that the shock wave is actually traveling at 10 times faster than anything else that can travel. You see, including those projectiles and everything else that is coming at you when a bomb explodes, comes 1/10 of the time. It takes 1/10 of the time for the shock wave to reach you, and then everything else reaches you. So by the time those things come and hit you, most of the people are already dead.
Injured, yeah, fatal injury.
इसलिए क्या होता है, इन लोगों ने क्या किया कि जब ये आईईडी ब्लास्ट होते थे अपने जवानों के ऊपर, ये जो नेक्सलाइट टाइप्स करते हैं,
Yes.
उसमें इनको इंटैक्ट बॉडीज निकलती थी. Bodies were intact because they had put armored plating, this plating, that plating to protect the vehicle from outside attack. वो उसका लोहा मोटा कर देते हैं, ये करते हैं, वो करते हैं.
Yes. Yes.
होता क्या है कि सिंपल फिजिक्स का लॉ है कि जितनी डेंसिटी बढ़ती जाएगी उतना वेव, साउंड वेव जो है या एनी अदर शॉक वेव विल ट्रेवल दैट मच फास्टर थ्रू इट.
Okay.
राइट. इसीलिए अपन वो छोटे होते थे तो वो रेल की पटरी पे कान लगाओ तो दूर से ट्रेन की
Yes.
आवाज आती थी. वो इसीलिए आती थी कि वो रेल में ज्यादा ट्रेवल करती है बिकॉज ऑफ द डेंसिटी ऑफ दैट आयरन रेल. तो अब हम क्या कर रहे हैं, अपने व्हीकल को ज्यादा डेंस बना रहे हैं टू प्रोटेक्ट इट अगेंस्ट लेट्स से फायर ब्लास्ट एंड ऑल दैट, प्रोजेक्टाइल्स बेसिकली. गोलियां चलती हैं, बॉम्ब आते हैं, उसके लिए. लेकिन उससे नुकसान क्या है कि जो ब्लास्ट हुआ है उसकी जो शॉक वेव है दैट इज गोइंग टू बिकम मच मच मोर एफिशिएंट बिकॉज ऑफ द डेंसिटी ऑफ द मटेरियल अराउंड इट. तो इसलिए बहुत सारे आर्मर्ड व्हीकल्स के अंदर से बिल्कुल इंटैक्ट बॉडीज लेकिन मरे हुए लोग.
Oh.
और जब
Yes.
उनको डिसेक्ट करके उनको पोस्टमार्टम किया जाता था, they would find that their lungs were completely ruptured, their intestines were completely gone, their brain was completely fragmented, but nothing from the outside.
Nothing from the outside.
So why would that happen? Because the shock wave has already hit them. So by the time anything else comes to them, they're already dead. So they implode. अंदर से बाहर को होता है.
Absolutely.
That is what shockwave does. Now, what Shiva Kawach does is it takes away the energy of that shockwave before it reaches the target.
Got it.
So the Shiva Kawach itself will absorb all that energy, and therefore what comes to you is a very very mild, जैसे 2 वोल्ट का लैंप आ गया,
Yes.
उससे कुछ होना नहीं है. आवाज ज्यादा आएगी, होगा कुछ भी नहीं.
So we certainly know the story behind name Shiva Kawach. In fact, जब आप लोग मुझे ये बता रहे थे regarding Shiva Kawach, how it protects the people, I could always imagine, something was going in my mind, and I would imagine because हमने वो story सुनी है महाराणा प्रताप की, that he used to wear this shield which was 40 kgs. So this is like a protection that would protect him in the war from the arrows and the swords that were all around him. So I think this is such a wonderful correlation. So moving ahead, I would really like to know, and I'm sure the audience would like to know, has it been tested on maybe, because everything required a testing, it requires proof of concept, as you said, or maybe on animals or on humans, or has it been tested, Shiva Kawach?
Right.
Yes.
Then please take that question.
Okay. So, ma'am, it's like this, that on those trucks that the Ministry of Home Affairs gave us, okay, on one of the trucks, there were, we got permission for live sedated small animals.
Oh.
Live sedated small animals. So we put Shiva Kawach under the floorboard of the truck, and on the seat of that truck, which is the unarmored old rusted truck, we put rabbits, we put rats, sedated. Okay. And since we didn't have permission for a large animal trial, they said, Adess, get a goat, kill it freshly, shove it up there. We'll get a postmortem done immediately after the blast. Look, motivate ho gaye.
Yes.
You see why that is required is to check कि जो हमने कहा ना internal organs burst हो जाते हैं.
Yes.
तो उसको check करने की.
So अब जो ट्रक आप देखेंगे मेरे वेबसाइट में, हम लोगों की वेबसाइट पे देखेंगे, उसमें वो लाइव सेडेटेड रैबिट्स, तो कुछ रैट्स और एक फ्रेशली किल्ड गोट पड़ी है, फिर वो ब्लास्ट होता है.
है ना, ये मुझे लगा हो गया. वन जो है ना यहाँ पे, इसमें तो हम माइस रखने वाले थे ना.
फिर भी जाके
शटरिंग 6000 थी ना,
उसको बोलो, जयकरण जी को बोलो। डाल दो, मिट्टी साइड पे डाल दो सर। एक मिनट आप मारो फला। वो साइड का करो।
उधर उधर
दूसरा वाला बड़ा डेंजर पोजीशन पे है सर। सर बुलाइए सर, सर इसका फोटो साइड से चढ़ के जाना पड़ेगा। एक मिनट बनाओ, वीडियो बनाओ। हो गया सर।
एक बार इधर, एक मिनट। हाँ मैम,
जो रैप्चर हुआ बीच में कर दिया। हाँ सर, हाँ सर।
क्या है उसका, क्या होगा?
It's a 10 kg blast from under the truck. So what happens is that we put our Shiva Kawach there. There are animals in the truck cabin, and underneath, right underneath them, there is a 10 kg TNT charge facing upwards, which means the maximum charge will go right through the truck. Nothing will dissipate around it. So highest potency positioning was done. And then the truck is put there. It is exploded. After the explosion, obviously we have to analyze what happened, because the truck nearly broke into two because it was very old, etc.
Okay.
But no lights of the truck were broken. No windshield of the truck was broken. Nothing that is or even glass was broken. That was a great indicator for us, first indicator, कि इसका मतलब शॉक वेव तो हमने न्यूट्रलाइज कर दी भाई, नहीं तो कांच तो टूटना ही चाहिए था।
Yes, correct.
कांच नहीं टूटा। उसके बाद the representatives of the government, which was like the government was being represented by the engineers, the scientists from DRDO. Then they have this veterinary wing, so doctors were there. There were people from Ministry of Home. There were people from Ministry of Defense, and there were some people from Black Ops and all that. So there were more than 50 people.
And all these people were present on the site itself where this experiment was.
They were all witnessing this. They were all witnessing this test live.
Is it moving? Is the video moving on the screen?
No, we can't see any video. So once the Adess, you send the video later, right? Hang on. So once the blast was over, a senior scientist from DRDO itself climbed onto the truck and he pulled out all the animals. All were alive.
Oh.
Number two, you see what happened? Nature of a rabbit or a mouse is such कि वो शॉक वेव से उनके कान के पर्दे फट जाते हैं। वो मर तो जाते ही हैं, लेकिन बहुत कम शॉक से कान के पर्दे फट जाते हैं। They were all tested for hearing.
Okay.
The rabbits were taken by the veterinary department, and they were the MRIs done, etc. for 17 days, 18 days. After 3 months, those rabbits produced babies, which means even their reproductive system, everything was fine, and their cognizance was fine. They were cognizant.
Yeah, they were.
They could reproduce, they could hear, they could respond like nothing had happened to them at all. There was no shock. They were not in shock. Nothing happened to them at all.
So,
that's a wonderful thing, and really
Shiva
nice
Kawach.
to know that. Yes.
So this was done by Shiva Kawach. And then the goat that was there was post-mortem right there on site, in view of all the other people who wanted to witness. No injury to any internal organ, none at all.
So Adess ji and Rajan ji, thank you so much for walking us, through that experiment. And I'm sure everybody who witnesses, like more than 50 people from different portfolios, ministry, the government people, the veterinary doctors, and everybody. And I'm sure it must have come as a surprise. And the feeling must have been so like victorious, like kids getting, maybe somebody coming first in the class that you're.
There was more than a 3-minute applaud. People
Wow,
were clapping.
we understand that.
It was like a show. It was like a show. Everyone was totally taken. They'd never seen something like this. और तालियां मार रहे बड़े बड़े साइंटिस्ट खड़े होकर तालियां मार रहे जोर जोर से जैसे कोई तमाशा देख के हटे.
And I'm sure Shiva Kawach must have taken everybody by awe there. People, when you were telling the story of your huddles and the problems that you face, कि, आप इस ministry से उस ministry जाते थे, कोई आपको सुनता नहीं था. But here, everybody is there and applauding
Yes.
you, and they are in awe and they are in shock actually. कि
They
Shiva
were in
Kawach-
shock. And that video was running live in DRDO campus here for a long time. As soon as you enter the reception, that was the video that was running.
My God, this is such.
So they wanted to show it to everybody who came to them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I would like to congratulate you both, for this
Thank you so
wonderful
much.
invention, like taking it forward. Government can certainly afford, because they want to save their people, they want to save their military personnel, they can afford such things. But let's come back to a commercial value now. We all know that the auto industries, the prices are soaring for cars and the vehicles in the country today, at least. How do you think, is it a commercially viable aspect or a commercially viable gear that, even car manufacturers will be able to justify it to their audience that, yes, we need this, so we are putting it for you, you can use it, and it's going to save your life.
Okay.
Right.
Should I-
Adess, please take this. You want to take this?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
So, you would never have seen or heard of us till we decided that it is time to bring Shiva Kawach into the civil applications. Now, civil applications of Shiva Kawach, the first one that comes to mind is of vehicle crashes and the deaths that occur. So now, I will answer your question about cost and all, but I will take you through, just like I took you through the blast and the effect, I'll take you through the crash and the effect. Okay?
Correct.
ताकि ना जो गलतियां बैठी हुई हैं दिमाग में उससे हट जाए. अब वो सपोज देयर इज अ कार क्रैश, अ सिवियर कार क्रैश. अब जब कार का टक्कर हुई, if you see that presentation I sent you, कार की टक्कर, let us say it's 1600 kilograms of car weight. It crashes at 120 kilometers per hour. कोई ब्रेक नहीं लगी, सीधा कंक्रीट दीवार में मारी जाती. तो ये क्रैश की सारी एनर्जी जो है वो let us say it is equal to 0.87 megajoules. Now don't get confused. I will tell you what is 1 megajoule.
Yes.
Then you will get. So 1 megajoule is 100,000 kilos falling through 1 meter. That means एक स्टील की सिल्ली लो, आप स्लैब लो 8 फुट बाय 8 फुट बाय 8 फुट, एक क्यूब ले लो और उसको 1 मीटर से गिराओ, तो वो जितनी एनर्जी वो 1 मेगाजूल होती है. Okay. Now the crash, such a severe crash is 0.8 megajoules. और वो 0.8 megajoules में वो कार जो है वो क्वार्टर बन जाती है, अच्छी भली गाड़ी का क्वार्टर बन जाता है. You will see that in the picture. Now, no life is expected to be coming out alive out of this thing. What actually happens in a crash and the passengers? Okay. Now, crash हुआ.
Yes.
जब crash हुआ तो जो एनर्जी है क्रैश की, एनर्जी ऑफ द क्रैश, वो जो 0.8 मेगाजूल्स था, इसका रास्ता क्या है ट्रैवलिंग का? इट ट्रैवल्स थ्रू द स्टील ऑफ द चेसिस. चेसिस है गाड़ी, उसकी स्टील है, तो प्रेफर्ड पाथ इज द स्टील. इन द स्टील दैट एनर्जी इज ट्रैवलिंग एट 1200 meters per second. Okay. It is going around all over the place. Whereas from the air it is coming at 330 meters per second.
An SUV weighing about 1,600 kgs moving at 120 kilometers per hour suddenly crashes into a concrete wall. The energy released from such a crash is of the value of 0.87 megajoules. And you can see that a car which was good and complete gets down to a quarter of its size. And you can also see that the chances of anybody surviving such a crash are minimal. The Shiva Kawach, however, has been tested for saving lives and equipment at an energy level of 42 megajoules. This is the energy released by the detonation of 10 kg of TNT at about 1.2 meters. And it is much more severe than the value comparison of 42 megajoules and 0.87 megajoules because the time is extremely short. So the intensity is extremely high. And you could see that the animals that were kept in the carriage area of the truck came out alive and unhurt and were good for the entire study period of 27 days. In fact, post the study period, when the female rabbit was allowed to mingle, it also conceived and gave birth to baby rabbits, healthy baby rabbits.
अब हमारे पास है क्या क्या गाड़ी में? एक सीट बेल्ट, ओके,
True.
कुछ क्रम्पल जोन्स हैं, एक गाड़ी के कुछ क्रम्पल जोन होते हैं, वो कहते हैं जी एनर्जी इसमें लग गई तो बंदे अंदर बच गए। सीट बेल्ट है तो आप बजे नहीं किसी चीज में जाके तो आप बच गए। एयर बैग, अब एयर बैग खुल जाता तो आप उसमें जाके बच जाते तो आप बच गए, ठीक है। इसेंशियली दीज आर द मेन फीचर्स ऑफ
Safety gears, yes, of a car.
और उसमें जो ज्यादा फैंसी कार्स हैं उनके जो केबिन होती है वो they try to make it of boron steel which gives them some more advantage,
but those are generally track vehicles, they're not commercial.
नहीं चलते नहीं, okay. Now the speed of the energy traveling through the chassis reaches the passenger before the seat belt even thought of getting tightened.
Oh.
आप
भाई एक टाइम लैग है ना, सीट बेल्ट जब आपको शॉक लगेगा एक टाइम लैग है, उसके बाद सीट बेल्ट एक्टिवेट होती है।
Yes, yes.
वो इतनी देर में तो चिड़िया चुग गई खेत, वो पहुंच गई, जो एनर्जी थी वो पहुंच गई पैसेंजर।
That has gone past you, it has gone through you, it has done the damage required.
अब वो क्या डैमेज करेगी? It depends on the intensity of that energy and where it entered from. सीट के नीचे से, ऊपर से, साइड से, कहां से? But it is out of control of the manufacturer. दूसरा, जो एयर बैग है अभी तो वो इतना सही इन्फ्लेट हुआ है, वो तो कहां पहुंच गई? एनर्जी तो आपको बहुत पहले हिट हो गई।
So you see, they have a limitation there because the airbag cannot be inflated beyond a certain acceleration, नहीं तो वो airbag ही टकरा के मार देगा आदमी को।
Yes, correct.
तो
Yes.
वो उनका एक delay time है। Now the energy that is traveling through the steel frame can go past 10 times. By the time the airbag has opened, वो 10 बार आपके बीच में से निकल सकती है। It is traveling much faster than that. So by the time the airbag actually inflates and you have been damaged, so what the airbag is protecting is the outside, nothing inside.
Okay.
अब
Got it.
जो क्रम्पल जोन है, जो
Yes,
स्टील का क्रम्पल जोन है, अभी वो क्रम्पल होना शुरू नहीं हुआ। एनर्जी बीच में से निकल गई, क्रम्पल होने में उसको टाइम लगेगा ना। इट इज मूविंग सो फास्ट दैट द थिंग इज इनसाइड द पैसेंजर, वो क्रम्पल जोन को भी शुरू ही नहीं हुआ। सो ऑल मेन फीचर्स ऑफ सेफ्टी are too slow for crash energy to play its part.
No,
Adess,
that's very important.
So Sangamitra, the crumple zone, again, they have to design it such कि at the first instant वो गिर ही ना जाए, क्योंकि जो चलती गाड़ी में से भी गिर जाएगा फिर तो। So they have to have a certain resistance beyond which it will start crumpling. And therefore it cannot crumple without any time lapse. वो टाइम ही तो है नहीं हमारे पास। जैसे ही क्रैश हुआ, the energy is traveling and Adess, what is the actual energy at 120 kmph?
That is 0.87 megajoules.
That is speed acceleration of
वो जब वो 0.36 सेकंड में रुकता है, जी फोर्स उसकी होती है। I've not put the calculations there.
Right.
The vehicle comes to stop at 0.36 seconds.
Okay. So suffice to say that the energy is traveling at many x the reaction time of the crumple zone also.
Okay.
So and it's much more in intensity. So it has already passed through everything and hit where it needed to hit before any of these get activated. And
So,
there
in
is
a
a
layman's
practical.
word,
Ask me.
yeah. So,
Sorry.
in a very simple way, what we understand, and I'm sure the audience is also able to catch it, because whenever something happens, whenever there's an accident that is happening, the shock is there. Now, what happens? All these safety gear, be it the air, be it the air balloon, or be it the seatbelt, be it anything that is provided commercially in a vehicle, takes a certain time to react
Yes.
and protect the
Yes.
passenger. But
Yes.
before that happens, the damage is already done to the passenger.
Yes.
Correct.
Because
Correct.
the energy is traveling much faster than any of
Yes,
those reactions.
मैं आपको बताता हूँ
correct.
कि so in short the energy of the crash reaches the passenger before the activity of the safety systems.
Yes, yes, correct. We
एक
got
नंबर
it.
पर दूसरी नंबर
Yeah.
दूसरी क्रिटिकल दूसरा नंबर क्रिटिकल बात जो भी एनर्जी ऑफ द क्रैश है वो सारी की सारी व्हीकल के अंदर एब्जॉर्ब हो रही है.
Hmm.
Now I don't know why they do that. It is obviously silly. After with the knowledge of the blast, we scattered the energy all over the place. They can do it too. They've not done it till now. Now I'll bring you to the solution. So we put the Shiva Kawach, let us say, in the front bumper. Let us say we put the Shiva Kawach on the in between the panels of the door,
Yes.
on the chases. कहीं भी हमने शिवा कट लगा दिया, बस स्टिक कर दिया, हमने कुछ करा नहीं है और टक्कर होती है. अब सबसे पहले वो शॉक एनर्जी जिसको आप कह रहे हो 1200 meters per second in steel will not get in there. It will get stuck in Shiva Kawach.
Oh,
And that Shiva Kawach will misdirect that energy away from the passengers.
my
So you see, Shiva
God.
Kawach, Shiva, it simply needs to be installed in a manner where when the energy shock wave hits it, it is deflecting it away from the cabin, the passenger
तो
cabin.
हमने
So
घुमा दिया.
no matter what happens to the vehicle, the passengers are in the cabin and they are safe because no energy has actually transferred to them.
Or
I
I'm
think,
not boasting. If you put the Shiva Kawach, it will be impossible to kill a person with an accident in the car.
करेक्ट.
मारेंगे.
गाड़ी में नहीं मार सकते उसको. हालांकि
उसको नहीं मार
हो
सकते.
सकता है जाके स्टेयरिंग उसको टकरा जाए, पर आजकल स्टेयरिंग वगैरह सब कोलैप्स हो जाते हैं. So only,
और
you see, they have already made it technically so well, the vehicles, that the only thing that can kill somebody is the shock wave. Otherwise, they are built like tanks now. There is no way that anything but a shock wave can kill them. पहले होता
और
था
ये
वो स्टेयरिंग आगे छाती में लग जाता था, आजकल तो वो
yes.
होता नहीं है. इंजन केबिन में आ जाता, आजकल वो हो ही नहीं सकता है. उसके जो वो डिसइंटीग्रेट होते थे डैशबोर्ड, तो उसके फ्रेगमेंट्स लग जाते थे, कांच के फ्रेगमेंट्स. नन ऑफ दैट, nothing actually breaks and becomes a projectile in a vehicle.
But it's
Inside
the
the
shock.
passenger cabin, nothing becomes a projectile.
अभी
Only
आपको
short
पता
wave kills.
कि गाड़ी की टेस्टिंग होती है ना. जैसे अब कोई अमीर आदमी है तो 5 स्टार की गाड़ी चलाएगा, जैसे दूसरे हैं बेचारे 2 स्टार की गाड़ी चला के सेफ्टी में. गाड़ी की टेस्टिंग होती है 64 किलोमीटर पर आवर क्रैश.
इंडिया में
64 तो अब गली से नहीं, ऑल वर्ल्ड, इट्स द वर्ल्ड रोड नाउ. गली से बाहर निकल के मेन रोड पे जैसे ही जाते हो आप 64 पे होते हो.
Yes.
You are
so that is,
actually
those are the
crashing
norms.
up at 100. वो नॉर्म्स है.
Others,
तो वो नॉर्म्स
others,
में 5 स्टार.
those are the transport authority norms. Otherwise, in the factories, the vehicles are tested at 80 kilometer, 90 kilometer, but they are only for crash tests in factories. हमारे यहाँ सड़कों पे जो गाड़ी 64 किलोमीटर पे पास है, वो उसको छोड़ देते हैं सड़क पे.
वो छोड़.
Okay.
नहीं
Got it.
तो वगैरह तो निकले ही नहीं कभी. It could never come out on the roads.
So we understand that why it is important to have Shiva Kawach. First of all, the name, the story behind it, the reason behind it, and of course, if commercial, I would say whether it is commercially viable or not, it's a different story. But whether it is important, that's I think the crux of our discussion. Also, it's a very
Yeah.
important thing. But okay, now let's talk about, because everything in this world
एक बात रह
revolves.
गई थी.
Yes.
One second.
She's going to ask the question. She's going to ask that question.
No. Wait. One part got left out. You asked for the commercial this thing of the
Yes.
value of the thing.
Okay.
So Shiva Kawach, in real terms, what is it? क्योंकि महंगा तो नहीं है, ये वो नहीं है, फलान नहीं है, ढमकान, वो
कोई
सारी
तो पूछ
बातें
नहीं होंगे।
हाँ, वो नहीं, since you asked earlier, this is Shiva Kawach. It's a sponge. Okay, now your sofa is very nice, but left to myself, if I cut up that sofa, I can make 5-6 Shiva Kawach from that. Okay, here I'm sitting on a chair. From this chair, एक आध Shiva Kawach तो इसमें से बन जाए.
And we understand that definitely, life is the most important factor here, but money also plays a pretty important role. Now, when we talk about Shiva Kawach, and certainly in a commercial manner, so what kind of difference or a dent it would make in somebody's pocket? While maybe, buying a car, or maybe in the car manufacturer units and all those things.
Okay.
Adess, you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll take it. Shiva Kawach is truly a win-win solution. Why win-win? One, it will protect the owner, occupant, and the passengers of the vehicle from any injury, leave aside death. Secondly, it will cost less to the manufacturer
Okay.
because the things he may replace subsequently, it costs very little money. It's a kind of a sponge. I am giving it out without any safety to our interest, but it's a kind of a sponge. You make it wet with certain volume of fluid. It's Shiva Kawach. That is Shiva Kawach. Just as the Lord Shiva is simple, he doesn't adorn it. Yeah, let me finish. Like Lord Shiva is simple. He doesn't adorn any jewelry. He has snakes and bulls and rats and rabbits all around him. So Shiva Kawach is actually a piece of sponge that has a particular kind which has been made wet by a particular amount of liquid. Full stop. इसके ऊपर नहीं है कुछ.
Okay.
So cost goes the other way. Cost वो बचाएगा पैसे.
Okay.
The manufacturer will save money putting this. Okay, and he will be able to claim safety at higher speeds. और अगर उसी स्पीड पे करना है तो 2 स्टार की गाड़ी आपकी 5 स्टार की गाड़ी हो जाएगी.
Okay.
Without any modification. Right?
Got it.
In fact, जिस कॉन्फ्रेंस में मैंने ये वीडियो दिखाया और ये सब किया, उन्होंने कहा आदेश ये मेरी गाड़ी में तो लगा. तो मैंने कहा देख भाई, मेरे पास बॉम्ब की सर्टिफिकेशन है, गाड़ी में लगाने की सर्टिफिकेशन नहीं है. पैसे चाहिए उसके लिए. In the initial 1 year of thing, we will be expending money on crashes.
Yeah.
उसके बिना ये नहीं लगेगी. It will not happen. So that brings us to how you want to take it forward. Yeah, that's cost-wise. It is a win-win. They'll jump to it. Only the way they will not jump to it is a ego clash.
So, as you said, Adess ji and Rajan ji, that it is certainly a win-win situation. And when we talk about life, it is certainly not the money that is, in center here. It is certainly a lot because, when you talk about life, there are families, there are emotions, and there's everything. But the world runs on money. Now, let's talk about this aspect also. Are you getting any kind of support from the government in this aspect? When we talk about commercials, how to develop the manufacturing facility, everything, because if somebody, you get an order to develop it in bulk or something, are you getting any kind of support from the government?
So, over a period of time, when we were doing these experiments with blast mitigation, where we were trying to build this stuff, Shiva Kawach for defense, etc., we did not get any direct support from the government vis-a-vis the money part, but they gave us facilities, as in they allowed us to test in very restricted facilities that Government of India owns. Although we had to pay for the test, except for one test, which was the live animals test, because that was sponsored by central government.
Oh.
But after that, when we've been asking that this can go into vehicles and it should be tested as a motor vehicle crash alternative also, as yet we have not been able to find a funder who will go through, because this will not require too much money. Maybe 5-7 crore रुपए में इतने सारे टेस्ट हो जाएंगे कि everyone is comfortable in different types of vehicles that this works. So for that we need to crash vehicles, you see. So व्हीकल चाहिए, चाहे वो कंपनीज दे दें, चाहे वो कोई पुराना व्हीकल दे दे हमको, हमें क्रैश साइट चाहिए, क्रैश साइट दे दे. We need some concrete walling, etc., where we want to crash them, and we need some instrumentation to check it out, and we need validation from a lab or something. So all these people charge money. We have been working on this particular aspect in different formats for the last 20 years. We've spent a lot of money. In crores, we have already spent.
I'm sure.
Now, we would like if somebody could actually hold our hand and move us forward, because ultimately, whoever comes forward is going to gain tremendously, because their vehicles will become cheaper if they put Shiva Kawach there.
Got it.
क्योंकि जो इतना सारा ड्रामा करना पड़ता है उसकी जरूरत नहीं रहेगी.
So this brings me to my next question. Now, you certainly have, because we need approval from the government. Now, everything is done from their side. Now, when we talk about commercial aspect, आजकल आप हमेशा देख रहे होंगे, everywhere it is all about venture capitalists, fundings, and investor. And as you mentioned that you are also looking for somebody to hold your hand. So have you ventured this arena till now? Have you spoken to VCs? Have you gone to those firms? And what has been their response?
Okay, I'll tell you. Can I take one?
Yes, please.
Firstly, we'll talk about the situation in India. There is, of course, a lot of hype about venture capital and funders and so on. So, if you look deeper, you will find that the funding is done on new methods of doing business, or using a computer program, or using an app. Funding venture capitalism for basic engineering is lacking. They don't have the confidence. You get my point? They say ये तो बहुत बड़ी वो वहीं से आएगा यार, मेरे को नहीं मालूम, बाहर से आएगा, मुझे नहीं मालूम. सामने दिखा दो, ब्लास्ट हो गया, बच्चे बच गए, ये फलान बोल धमका, सब दिखा दो, यार पता नहीं. 5 करोड़ देने हैं, देने में प्रॉब्लम हो जाती है, because we are not, our VCs and our funders, very small amount of them actually invest in engineering solutions. Everything is computer or mobile phone. You have an app, it can be sold. You have this, ये इतने पैसे मेरे बन जाएंगे. What happens in that kind of approach is very frequently you will reach a place and it will happen again and again of what they called the funding winter. Because वो धंधे कर करके वो सूख जाती है इलाका. There is no engineering field which is opened in which you can do everything. So
core engineering is being ignored by funders. This is a given fact.
It's a given fact. And
therefore,
as we see, it's more
therefore
about,
we have such poor R&D record in India. Our record in India for R&D on any technology development is very poor, because number one, all the bright guys, they go away to the US or somewhere else and do their R&D there because they get paid there. Out here, a research engineer is paid nothing.
True. Absolutely.
So funding bhi nahi hai. Or core engineering, which is not like overnight 10x money. Core engineering is never like that. Core engineering is a process. It lasts much longer. It's very good for humanity. It's very good for their balance sheet also in the long run. But if you are looking for short-term turnarounds, then core engineering, proof of concepts and everything as validation, that itself takes very long. So these people have alternatives that they invest in. Core engineering investment nahi hai India mein.
Oh, and as you mentioned, Adesh, a funding winter might really hit, this investor forum or this funding fraternity pretty soon, because they are ignoring the crux that is engineering.
Yeah.
So, but any message that you would like to, give it to the investors who might be listening to you right now, that why they need to invest in Shiva Kawach?
Okay. So it's like this. Firstly, if they need to invest, how much do they need to invest? So that's, Rajan said, 6 to 7 crores. And how much time? 1 year. What will happen with that investment? You will have the videos of the crashes. You will have the data from the accelerometers telling you that the passenger inside that vehicle is safe even 120 kilometers. That will give the backbone for any future funding that you may require, or it will also give the base on which you can start selling the stuff, because you've done the test, you've shown that this saves lives or this
Yes.
reduces the accelerating forces, and therefore you are in the business of selling
Yes.
selling the life protecting uh, technology, right? And
Yes.
because of the patents and all, there will be a lot of time in which there will be an what they call unfair advantage to the investor. तो पैसे तो उसके बन जाएंगे बिकॉज उसके रिस्क सारे कवर हो चुके हैं. वो
Yes.
हिम्मत होनी चाहिए अंदर, वो दिल में दैट आयरन इन द सोल हैज टू बी देयर कि मैं इसमें पैसे डालूं. ये इम्पॉसिबल चीज है, 120 किलोमीटर पे टक्कर मारो और बच जाओ, तो मैं इसमें पैसे डालूंगा बिकॉज ऑफ द विजुअल्स एंड द डेटा दैट इज देयर. ऐसा really
So, Sangamitra, may I add to this that you see the chap who will invest in this needs to be passionate about life, needs to be passionate about development, needs to be passionate about improving the quality of life that we live on earth. You see,
Yes.
green field में क्यों invest करते हैं लोग? भाई पौधे लगा दो, उसमें बहुत पैसे लगाते हैं, क्योंकि
Yes.
अब समझ में आ गई है कि पौधों के बिना हम मर जाएंगे. हम तो नहीं मरेंगे, हमारे में भी
Future
फोर्थ
generation.
जनरेशन बनना शुरू हो
Yes.
जाएगी.
Future generation.
सो सिमिलरली इन कोर इंजीनियरिंग आज हमें पैसे लगाने की जरूरत है कि अगले 100 साल के बाद हमारे बच्चे बहुत अच्छे रहेंगे. शिवा कवच is going to save you at least, let's say, 400,000 people in a year. Imagine the resource that it is going to save just because it is a research project which is coming up in a commercial sense. तो कमर्शियली इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए एक इन्वेस्टर वो होगा जिसको पैशन है, सिर्फ पैसे का पैशन नहीं है, उसको जिंदगी का पैशन है, उसको कुछ कर दिखाने का पैशन, उसका नाम हो जाए. एप्स वाले आते हैं, 5 साल ऐप चलती है, पैसे बहुत कमाते हैं, किसी को नाम नहीं पता है कौन था.
Yes.
एडिसन का नाम आज भी जानते हो, टेस्ला का नाम आज भी जानते हो. टेस्ला भी भूखा मरा, उसको किसी ने पैसे नहीं दिए.
Yes.
And today we are talking about transmitting electricity without wires. जो टेस्ला ने कई साल पहले करके दिखा के उसको उसका गांव जला दिया लोगों ने, क्योंकि कमर्शियल इंटरेस्ट पैदा हो गए जो कि उसके अगेंस्ट थे. तो सिमिलरली हियर आल्सो इफ आई कीप थिंकिंग दी स्मॉल थिंग्स, छोटी वो अगर विजन से चलूंगा तो मेरी समझ में नहीं आएगा. लेकिन अगर मेरे को अपना नाम बनाना, इफ यू वांट टू बिकम one of the known investors in an engineering core field, which and your name will last through years and years of development, वो आदमी आएगा यहाँ पे.
Definitely. And that's a
उसको
very beautiful saying. And as you said, Rajanti, that people are thinking that this is one of the most impossible things to do in the world. But as impossible means, I am possible, and I'm sure Shiva Kawach is certainly going to make this possible. And
Thank
it's
you.
going to see the day of the light. And with on that note, thank you so much for joining in. Any last thought, last words from your side? Adess
Adess,
Singh and
say
Rajan?
something.
I think I've had a great time. I mean, you've been a very, very accepting listener, and you caught the concept very clearly. So I don't know
So
what is the technical background, but you've done it wonderfully. So you caught the concept, right? And what we're looking for are people who will leave imprints in the sands of time, whether they are investors or they are co-workers or whosoever. Yeah, this is something they worked on. Okay, this is something they funded, right? And because of that, so many lives are saved. The insurance companies will gain a huge amount of money by this, because the number of deaths is going to become zero. वो जो
So I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you guys for giving us this opportunity to speak and to express ourselves. And you have been very kind and very generous hosts. But now the message that I want to give out to the people is, you want to make money, there are 100 options out there. You want to get fame, come and back Shiva Kawach. And you want to save people, save lives, selfless activity as a human, come and back Shiva Kawach.
Yeah.
Wow. On those wonderful notes, thank you so much for watching to this wonderful podcast today. You're watching Bharat FM and see you
Thank you.
and till we see you next time. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Namaskar.